Welcome to our deep dive. This time we're going back in time, back to 1888 London,
Ooh, okay.
to the fog-shrouded streets of Whitechapel where a killer stalked the night,
Yeah,
Jack the Ripper.
classic.
So our source material this time are excerpts from the Wikipedia article on Jack the Ripper.
Okay.
We're going to try to understand who this shadowy figure might have been,
Right.
why these murders captured the world's attention, and how the media frenzy shaped the legend. But
Yeah.
first, let's set the scene.
Okay.
Whitechapel in 1888.
Whitechapel in 1888 was a far cry from the London we know today.
Yeah.
Overcrowded, poverty-stricken.
Right.
A breeding ground for crime and social tension.
Right.
Massive social change happening and an influx of Irish immigrants and Jewish refugees.
Yeah.
Hoping for a better life only to find themselves struggling in the slums.
And it's hard to imagine the desperation of the women forced into prostitution just to survive.
Right.
The article mentions police estimated there were over 62 brothels and 1,200 women working as prostitutes
Oh, my goodness.
in Whitechapel alone.
Just in Whitechapel.
Yeah.
Wow. To really grasp the level of desperation, consider this: over half of the children
Wow.
in the East End died before the age of 5.
Gosh.
You can see how this dire situation might have made these women even more vulnerable to someone like Jack the Ripper.
It's a heartbreaking reality.
Yeah.
Now let's delve into the murders themselves.
Okay.
The sources make it clear that definitively attributing murders to Jack the Ripper is tricky business.
Yeah, it is.
There's the Whitechapel murders file with 11 victims spanning from 1888 to 1891.
Right, but within that file we have the canonical 5.
The canonical 5.
Yeah, the murders most experts believe are likely linked.
Okay.
Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly.
And these weren't just murders, they were brutal.
Oh, yeah.
Deep throat slashes,
Deep throat.
abdominal mutilations, even organ removal. It seems the violence escalated, culminating in Mary Jane Kelly's gruesome death. The article describes her face as hacked beyond all recognition.
Oh.
But you mentioned the precision of the mutilations earlier.
Right.
Doesn't that point to someone with anatomical knowledge? Maybe even a surgeon?
That was certainly a theory the police explored.
Yeah.
The nature of the wounds led to butchers and slaughterhouse workers coming under intense scrutiny.
Really?
Yeah, imagine the pressure on the police trying to solve a case unlike any they'd seen before, with a public on edge and a growing list of potential suspects.
I can only imagine it's like something straight out of a penny. Dreadful, except this was all too real.
Absolutely. And with no DNA testing, no CCTV footage, they relied on traditional methods.
Right.
House-to-house inquiries, rudimentary forensic analysis, even offering a reward for information leading to the Ripper's capture.
Wow.
But the public's fear and frustration grew. They even formed the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee.
The Whitechapel Vigilance Committee.
Everyday citizens taking to the streets to try and catch the Ripper themselves.
Wow, so they took it into their own hands.
They did. What do you make of that?
Well, it makes you wonder how much faith they had left in the police, right? It seems like the public felt like they were on their own facing this terrifying unknown.
Exactly, and that's where the media comes in.
Oh, the media.
The Ripper case wasn't just about the murders themselves, but about how those murders were consumed and amplified by the press. This was a time of burgeoning mass circulation newspapers, and the Ripper case became their bread and butter.
Almost like the birth of tabloid journalism, wouldn't you say?
I would say that, yeah.
Sensationalism sells, and the Ripper case provided plenty of fodder.
Precisely. Take, for example, the leather apron rumors. This idea that the killer was a Jewish shoemaker.
Leather apron.
Spread like wildfire, playing on existing societal prejudices and stoking fear within the community.
It's a stark reminder of how easily misinformation can take hold, especially during times of uncertainty and fear.
Yeah, and then there's the infamous Dear Boss letter, the one that gave birth to the name Jack the Ripper.
The Dear Boss letter.
Someone claiming to be the killer, taunting the police, signing off with that chilling moniker.
Wow.
Even if it was likely a hoax, its impact was undeniable.
You said it was likely a hoax, but what if it wasn't? How would that change your understanding of the Ripper?
Yeah.
Was he trying to build his own legend?
That's a question that's plagued Ripperologists for over a century.
Go over a century.
And the Dear Boss letter wasn't the only one either. You have the Saucy Jackie postcard and the truly horrifying From Hell letter, complete with half a preserved human kidney.
The From Hell letter is disturbing. What do you think the intention was behind sending half a kidney? Was it a macabre boast or a twisted attempt to misdirect the investigation?
It's hard to say for sure.
Yeah.
These letters, real or not, captivated the public, and added another layer of a complexity to the case. It's almost like the killer, whoever they were, understood the power of the press and was using it to their advantage.
Which brings us to the big question.
The big question.
Who is Jack the Ripper? The sources mention police surgeon Thomas Bond.
Thomas Bond.
Created an early offender profile. Could you tell us more about his analysis and how it might have been groundbreaking for the time?
Sure. Bond believed the killer was a solitary man subject to periodical attacks of homicidal and erotic mania. His insights, while rudimentary by today's standards, were actually quite forward-thinking. For the time, he was one of the first to attempt to understand the psychology of a killer.
So he was laying the groundwork for what we know today as criminal profiling.
He was.
But what about the debate surrounding the Ripper's motives? Bond suggests a possible sexual element, but was that truly the driving force behind the murders?
That's a debate that continues to this day. Some experts believe the brutality and specific mutilations point to a deep-seated hatred of women, perhaps stemming from some personal trauma or psychological disturbance.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle with half the pieces missing. And maybe that's what keeps us coming back to this case over a century later.
Yeah.
The enduring mystery of it all.
The
And that mystery has fueled countless theories and an entire field dedicated to uncovering the truth, Ripperology.
Ripperology.
The Wikipedia article lists everyone from members of the royal family to artists and authors as potential suspects.
It's really quite a list.
It's incredible how many names have been thrown around over the years.
And yet, despite all the speculation, the sources make it clear no one has ever been definitively identified as Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
The lack of conclusive forensic evidence and the passage of time make it a near impossible task.
Right.
It's like chasing a ghost through the fog.
A ghost that continues to haunt our collective consciousness. I mean, look at the impact. Countless books, movies, TV shows, even a museum dedicated to the case, although I hear that one's a bit controversial.
Right. It seems we can't get enough of Jack the Ripper.
Yeah.
It speaks to our fascination with the macabre, our need to make sense of the senseless, but it also highlights how the media shaped our perception, creating a narrative that's as much about our fascination with true crime as it is about historical facts.
Speaking of historical facts, we've spent a lot of time on the Canonical Five, but the Whitechapel murders file mentions other victims too.
Right.
What about them? Could some of those murders also be attributed to Jack the Ripper?
That's where the lines start to blur.
Yeah.
While the Canonical Five are generally accepted as the most likely victims of Jack the Ripper, the others are more open to debate.
Okay.
Take Rose Mylett, for example. Her death was initially ruled as accidental, but some evidence suggested strangulation.
So another possible Ripper victim or just a tragic coincidence, it seems like every answer just leads to more questions.
It highlights the challenges faced by investigators at the time.
Yeah.
Without modern forensic techniques, determining a definitive cause of death, let alone linking it to a specific perpetrator, was incredibly difficult.
Right.
And then there's the case of Alice Mackenzie. Her murder was particularly brutal, bearing some similarities to the Ripper's methods.
Could it have been a copycat crime, someone trying to throw the police off the scent? Or was the Ripper's reign of terror even more extensive than we thought?
It's fascinating, isn't it? Each potential victim adds another layer of complexity.
Absolutely.
Then you have cases like the Pinchin Street torso and the Whitehall mystery.
Oh, wow.
Dismembered bodies found in different parts of London. These gruesome discoveries fueled speculation about a torso killer potentially operating alongside Jack the Ripper.
So we could be talking about multiple killers, each with their own motives, operating in the same city at the same time. The fog of Victorian London concealing not one, but several monsters.
It's a chilling thought, and it underscores how much we still don't know about this era.
Yeah.
We can piece together the facts, analyze the evidence, but some questions may remain unanswered forever.
Which in a way adds to the allure of the mystery, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely.
The unknown continues to beckon, inviting us to delve deeper into the darkness, even if we may never find all the answers.
Exactly. The Jack the Ripper case is a reminder that even in the face of our best efforts, some secrets refuse to be revealed.
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle box with a missing key. We can examine the intricate carvings, admire its craftsmanship, but without that key, we'll never truly unlock its secrets.
We've talked about the setting, the murders, the investigation, the media frenzy, and the endless list of suspects. We've even ventured into the murky territory of other Whitechapel murders. But after diving deep into all of this, what stands out to you most? What are the key takeaways about Jack the Ripper?
Yeah, it seems like we're all drawn to this mystery, trying to solve the unsolvable.
Trying to put the pieces together.
Yeah, and maybe that's why Jack the Ripper continues to inspire so much in art and literature.
I think so. It's that enduring fascination, that need to make sense of the senseless, and in the absence of a definitive answer, will our imaginations run wild?
We fill in the blanks, create our own versions of the story.
Right. Each one reflecting our own fears and fascinations.
So this deep dive has shown us a killer who was very much a product of his time as much as he was a mystery.
I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, the Ripper was a shadowy figure emerging from the fog and darkness of Victorian London. He embodies the anxieties of an era. It's marked by social upheaval and rapid change, but the media frenzy surrounding the case amplified those anxieties, shaping the legend we know today.
It's like the media created a monster and then we all became obsessed with trying to understand it.
And that obsession, that morbid curiosity, continues to this day. We're drawn to the Ripper case, not just for the gruesome details, but for what it reveals about ourselves.
About ourselves.
About our own fascination with the darkness that lurks beneath the surface of society.
So despite over a century of investigation theories and speculation, Jack the Ripper's true identity remained shrouded in the fog of Victorian London,
Still in the fog.
leaving us with that chilling question: who was he, and will we ever truly know?
Perhaps not, but perhaps that's part of the enduring power of the Ripper's legacy. The unknown continues to beckon, a shadowy figure forever lurking in the recesses of our collective imagination.
As we step out of the fog and back into the present,
Back to the present.
we're left to ponder the echoes of the past, the whispers of unsolved mysteries, the shadows of unanswered questions, and the enduring fascination with the darkness that resides within us all.
The case of Jack the Ripper may never be truly closed, but the lessons it offers about the human condition, about the power of fear and the allure of the unknown, those lessons remain as relevant as ever.
It's a chilling thought, but a thought worth pondering as we navigate the complexities of our own time.